Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to have a pretty interesting show. I've got Mark Spare here from the Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine to talk about anaplasmosis and ticks. You're not going to want to miss this. You start itching and scratching thinking about those ticks right now.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Well folks, welcome to DocTalk. Mark?
Thanks for having me here, Dr. Thomson.
It's great to have you folks. This is Mark Spare, future to be Dr. Spare. Mark is a unique talent here at Kansas State University or anywhere. He's working on his DVM and working on his PhD at the same time. Just a tremendous wealth of resource for us here at the College of Veterinary Medicine. Many years experience in cow herds, not only in Kansas but in Russia. And to have someone of your stature come back, join us in the profession, it's just great. Mark has been doing research and is still doing research on anaplasmosis. And so let's just kind of kick it off with this Ashland, Kansas native to talk a little bit about what is anaplasmosis.
You know, Dr. Thomson, there's this anaplasmosis is an obligate intracellular bacteria that parasitizes red blood cells in cattle. It's caused by a bacteria called Anaplasma marginale, and it's named for the residence it takes up in the marginal part of the red blood cell in an animal. It's transmitted by blood that's exchanged between a mechanical vector or a biological vector. Mechanical vectors include such things as flies. Those could be stable flies or house flies or horse flies. Needles, needle pokes, tattoo guns, implant guns, ear taggers. Biological vectors, by that I mean ticks. Ticks can actually, when they take up residence on an animal, they suck blood, it goes down into their midgut, then they exchange saliva and blood while they're feeding. So ticks can actually take in Anaplasma marginale, amplify it in their midgut, and then they actually regurgitate it as they exchange blood with an animal.
I knew I didn't like ticks.
Yeah.
Now I just have another reason. But it's amazing to me. So it's once it's in the blood, it kills the red blood cells, and it is transmitted. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize that they can transmit it with a tattoo gun or
No.
You know, in our own equipment.
It's really odd the way we can propagate this disease, and I'll correct you a little bit. When the anaplasma latches onto the red blood cell, it does not kill the red blood cell. So what we find is the body, as those red blood cells are filtered through the defensive spleen mechanism, those red blood cells are destroyed by the body's own defenses. So we see these clinical signs associated with anemia, jaundice, lethargy. We see dehydration, leading to aggression of these animals because their own bodies are destroying their red blood cells. Okay, the thing that we use to kind of rule out this type of red blood cell destruction is that we don't find them urinating red urine because those red blood cells are being destroyed by the body, so it's leading to this icterus. So it's kind of a rule out that we can actually use.
Oh my gosh. So folks, if you hadn't figured it out, Dr. Spare has quite the knowledge here in anaplasmosis, and is going to come back and we're going to talk about some more about what the clinical signs are of your cows if they have anaplasmosis, what to look for in herd, and we're going to talk a little bit about his research. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. More after these minutes.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Mark Spare. We're at Kansas State University in the College of Veterinary Medicine, where Mark is not only a veterinary student, but also working on his PhD, focusing on the topic of anaplasmosis, and just a great description of what anaplasmosis is, how cows get it, and what's going on in the body. I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to the Keith Westerfeld, who has supplied us with the new DocTalk coffee mugs, these Orca mugs. Thank you, Keith, out at Blueville Nursery. We appreciate the gifts. When we're talking about anaplasmosis, Mark, what do the clinical signs, what's a cow going to look like that's suffering from anaplasmosis?
That's a great question, Dr. Thompson, and there's still quite a bit of variability in the way each animal expresses their infection with anaplasmosis. What we see is that animals younger than 2 years old are affected differently, and that's a little bit of an arbitrary line, but affected differently than animals that are older than 2 years old. An animal that's younger than 2 years old is consistently making their red blood cells. Hematopoiesis, that's a vet school term that I've picked up here in class, so I'm paying attention, Dad.
Good.
So they don't get the signs as much. The older cows is where we see the signs such as icterus, which is the yellowing of mucous membranes or paling of that as they lose red blood cells. We see lethargy. They're tired. They're dehydrated. They don't go to water. They're often not with the herd. Their heads are hanging down. They're not breathing like we would expect to see a respiratory case, but they are breathing harder because they're having trouble getting oxygen to their tissues as they're losing oxygen carrying capacity. We also see some aggression, which as I get thirsty and tired, I get aggressive too sometimes. So we see some aggression. So be careful when you're out there. You think you have an anaplasmosis issue and you see an animal by herself, she might come and take you. So be careful as you approach that situation.
So it makes sense, just like when we see with some of those chronic BRD cases, calves that are hypoxic or having a hard time getting air, they can't fight, they can't run from you, so they decide to just get on the fight.
That's
and
right.
Those anaplasmosis animals are probably having some issues with oxygen exchange, and they
Definitely.
just get on the fight.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we've got these cows. They're out there that are icteric. You mentioned that they won't have the redness or the red tint, blood in their urine, and so that's one way we can differentiate between anaplasmosis and others. What are some of the recommendations today? Obviously, we want people to work with their local veterinarian, but what are some of the recommendations today for treatment of anaplasmosis? Good.
Well, first of all, I think anaplasmosis, to be succinct, is a good disease to prevent. And so we need to prevent by having good husbandry practices, maybe changing needles every animal. That's a difficult one to do, but we need to. We can actually treat with oxytetracycline and LA200, but by the time we recognize anaplasmosis, that animal had been infected for 21 days. So what we really see is an endpoint parasitemia where those red blood cells have already dropped, and that's what's really hurting the animal. So we see mortality maybe in 30 to 50% of cases of anaplasmosis, but again, it's really hard to really identify those cases in the field.
Outstanding. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Mark a little bit about the research that he's doing on anaplasmosis. You're watching DocTalk. Thanks for joining us.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Did you know long-range planning through the checkoff can help keep your business profitable? To successfully pass on cattle operations from one generation to the next, it's important to promote beef and keep farms and ranches profitable. Your beef checkoff helps do that.
We are Mike and
Martha
Armitage here at the A-Bar Ranch, Claremore, Oklahoma. We have a cow-calf production company, and we also have a marketing company. We have entertained groups brought to us by the Beef Checkoff, such as South Korean media that covered our operation and brought the good news back to South Korea.
That was a really neat experience, and that we got to have young people from another country that we got to experience a lot of different things in their culture, but got to share our culture too.
We live on the Squaw Creek Ranch. Here is a division of the A-Bar Ranch.
As a wife and a mother, and also with my background in more of a health field, I look at just the nutritional value, and it's great that the Beef Checkoff offers that kind of information to the consumers that are out there.
We both are proud to come from agricultural, more specifically ranching backgrounds.
My dad is a part of the Beef Checkoff board, and so the Beef Checkoff has been something that we promote and that we support what it has to offer.
Not everybody who's in agriculture is tech savvy on Facebook and through social media. Most people in the city happen to be, and they are very disconnected from our day-to-day routines, and that's one thing that makes me proud of the Beef Checkoff, them going to bat for us. From those who aren't necessarily anti-ag, but just simply don't know and they aren't getting the information.
As producers, we're strong supporters of that and hope that many of you out there realize all of the different things that the Beef Checkoff brings to the table for us as producers.
I'm Rexanne Strew, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints that really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people, because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with the to-be Dr. Spare. You'll be the second generation veterinarian. His dad, Randall, who I'm sure is watching the show, is veterinarian down in Ashland, Kansas. Mark, you had some fun, well, at least it sounded like fun, this summer doing some tick capture work. Can you just talk a little bit about what you were doing?
Yeah, that was quite the experience, Dr. Thomson, and fun. Some days were pretty fun, but I did end up picking a lot of ticks off myself. So that was certainly the sacrifice. We also ended up with ticks in our freezer, but I'll come to that. My wife wasn't real happy about that thing. But so what we know about ticks and their interaction with anaplasmosis is that some ticks are able to be infected by this Anaplasma marginale. Some of these ticks can be persistently infected, similar to cattle, so they carry that through their lifetime. Now, ticks are an interesting species, and I'll quickly outline their life cycle. Some of them are one-host ticks, some are three-host ticks. A one-host tick sticks with an animal for their entire lifetime. A three-host tick actually feeds on an animal as a larva, drops off, molts to a nymph, feeds on an animal, drops off, molts to an adult, and then feeds on an animal. If they're female, they'll undergo reproduction at that point. They'll fall off as they're fed to fat. So if you see a fat tick, it's a female. Don't spread that around to too many humans. So then they'll feed and then they'll lay eggs. Now a tick can lay anywhere from 3,000 to 7,500 eggs. And I found some of those nests, and when you find those nests, you really think that you stumbled into a nest, just a pollen field. But after a while you look down and they've moved all across your body, and then you get pretty nervous. So what we know about ticks that actually interact with anaplasmosis in Kansas, we specifically have some dermacenter ticks. So this is the American dog tick, Dermacenter variabilis. We are confident that the males can be persistently infected with anaplasmosis, and they have to feed on an infected animal as a nymph. And then they'll drop off, of course, then they'll go back on as an adult, and then go ahead and feed. So they can get this disease as a nymph, as the middle life stage, amplify it for weeks, months, drop off, and then transmit that to several animals.
How many ticks did you go out and trap and find?
Yeah, we trapped 5,013 ticks this summer, excluding the ones that I mashed on myself. What we did is we dragged the fields with flannel flags, and we drag them and fairly systematically, and we went hunting specifically these dermacenters to find ticks that were infected, and then we'd flip them over, pull them off with tweezers, put them in the freezer, and we'll go back and study those for the molecular signs of being infected.
So you'll look and see which ones are infected and where they came from, what pastures, and I assume, we got to go to break here pretty quick, but I assume you did this over multiple ranches and...
We did. We actually designed a series of sites where we could examine tick density, population distribution throughout the Flint Hills. So we studied pastures all the way from Pottawatomie and Riley County down to Cowley and Chautauqua counties. I had a number of young undergraduate girls who I'll give a shout out to. They performed extremely well I had them getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go out there before the dew to catch these ticks. So,
well, if you're going to be a tick hunter and be spare to the tick pile, you're going to have to get up pretty early. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk. We're going to take a break and wrap up with some of Dr. Spare's surveillance work after this.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help? How can we help?
Hey folks, thanks for joining me on today's Cattle First Minute as sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vet Medica. You know, when we start to think about breeding season and turning bulls out, the one thing I can't emphasize enough is to get a breeding soundness exam done on your bulls before turnout. And some of the things that can happen during the winter, whether it's frostbite in certain areas of the body or there's things that can happen that will cause a bull to become infertile, are things that you need to make sure. The other thing that's very important on a breeding soundness exam is we have to make sure that we don't have lameness or issues with the feet, because no wheels, no calves. So making sure that we have a sound bull structurally, making sure that we have one that's fertile and one that can produce enough sperm and enough volume with enough motility with no defects in the sperm is vitally important to making sure every year before you turn out to ensure that you get a calf crop, at least from the bull's point of view.
We do business with Blueville because of the quality of their work. It is excellent quality, and because they make a commitment to their customers.
We enjoy the benefits of hiring a good company to help us maintain this home.
We will always do business with Blueville. We have for many, many years, and there's no reason for us to look for any other service.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Mark Spare. We're at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. We're talking about ticks, anaplasmosis, sick cows, summertime, but we're going to talk a little bit about a tremendous study that Mark's taken on behalf of the beef industry, not just in the state of Kansas, even though it's centered in the state of Kansas, but one that's never really even been attempted to understand more about what's going on with anaplasmosis and its spread.
Good. So one of the things that we don't know, or we don't know a lot of things about anaplasmosis. Historically, it's been a very significant disease throughout the southeast and in Kansas, even into the western Idaho, Montana area. We are not confident, and it's very difficult to get a hold of the distribution and density of anaplasmosis infections. So
in our cow herds.
In our cow herds.
Yep.
Cow-calf industry is inherently difficult to study because it's out there. It's kind of dubious. So what we've done in Kansas is we've divided the state into 9 districts, and we actually randomized veterinarians in each district that practice in a mixed animal setting, so they see cows and other animals potentially. And we randomized them and asked them, as we picked them, if they would join us, partner with us in collecting samples from cows as they preg checked them or saw cow herds between October and January, although we're going to extend this into February of this year. So what we believe that we will get a look at, a snapshot of, is a random sampling of cow herds throughout the state of Kansas in each of these 9 districts. And as we submit these samples for assay, we anticipate that we will see positives and negatives by the herd, and we will get a good handle on a randomization, a random sample of density and distribution of anaplasmosis infection throughout the state.
So how many herds total?
Yeah, we aimed for 16,100 samples, so that's 1,610 herds throughout the state. The state has about 23,000 cow herds.
And how many veterinarians would that involve then?
I did anticipated this question, so I did a quick count. We have well over 150 veterinarians throughout about 85 practices that are helping us in this study. It's a
big effort.
Tremendous relational opportunity.
So then you also sent a survey out, and can you kind of just, in a nutshell, what you're looking for with the survey of the herds?
Good, and we sent a paper survey out so that we would have management data on each of these herds as we look at their positive or negative status, so that we anticipate being able to examine ratios or risks between management practices and the positive or negative status of a herd.
Okay, so great study, lots of things going on. You got multiple herds, over 150 veterinarians, and you'll have surveys that will be able to say, in the positive herds versus the negative herds, these are different management practices.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, sir.
Outstanding job, and what a talent and great person for the veterinary profession. We're very, very proud to have Mark Spare here at Kansas State University. We're thankful that you watch DocTalk, and if you want to know more about what we do, you can find us on the web at www.doctalk.tv. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian. Thanks for watching us today on DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.